So I said yesterday there was going to be some more items that were going to be popping up this week, and we're going to be talking about two of them today. There's some other ones too that are a little more pricey, but we'll get into those probably during the Transformer Slag podcast live stream tomorrow, Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check that out. But let's talk about these two today, two brand new Transformers Studio Series items, one Rise of the Beasts and one more continuation of that gamer edition that we've been talking about. So let's jump into the first one here. It's the first time properly we're getting to see Transformers Rise of the Beasts Rhinox through Studio Series 103. We're past 100 now. Rise of the Beasts Voyager class Rhinox, the Maximal. And looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Again, you could clearly see we had the mainline version that we were talking about beforehand, and we kind of used that as our basis of what this character might look like. And of course, the only other stuff that we had really was a blurry image from the trailer. And of course, like there was that little animation that was also really tiny and hard to make out the robot mode. So this is the first time we're really seeing the robot mode in fine detail, even though it's through an action figure. And of course, the actual animation model in the movie might be a little different, but this looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I like what I see. It really invokes, again, that classic Beast Wars Rhinox, especially in the head sculpt, even that kind of samurai kind of aesthetic that his armor had both with the toy and in the original animation model. I like what I see here. It looks good. And you could see the parallels to what that mainline Voyager had to this one. There was a lot of similarities, but I like it. It looks really good. He comes with a big hammer with some spikes on it. Didn't expect that. I guess that's his weapon in the movie. Everyone's got to have some kind of melee weapon, and he's got a big hammer. Sure thing. All right. I guess if you want to have a chain gun for your Rhinox, you're going to have to go out and get that Battle Master Rhinox and deck him out with a chain gun. Maybe get two of them so he has two chain guns. But I still dig it. Looks really good. And again, comparing it to the mainline one, you could see the surface details and aesthetic choices that were done differently, much like they did with the Air Razor and the Cheetor in the mainline. And no doubt the Optimus Primal that we've already seen in mainline will have vast differences from the final version that we'll get with that leader class Studio Series that we're supposed to get for Optimus Primal. So stay tuned for that. Looks really good though. I like it. Again, maybe it's my bias. I like my Beast Wars, but both the changes between the main line with the robot mode and the alt mode looks pretty good. And I like the fine details. Makes it look nice. Here's the big one. Let's talk about our first look at the Studio Series Gamer Edition number 4. Because the first one was Optimus, second one was Bumblebee, third one was Barricade. And now number 4, Gamer Edition Voyager class War for Cybertron Megatron, based off of the High Moon video game of the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Megatron. This looks really good. This looks really, really good. Again, this is a figure that it did have a previous iteration before. It was a deluxe class, came out in 2010, I believe it was, during the launch of Generations. And that was a really good figure back then. And now we bumped it up to a Voyager class, a little more budget, a little more effort to really match that animation model, giving it an extra accessory. Now he actually gets to come with his melee weapon, the mace that he had in the game. So now he's rocking it here too. Very exciting with this. Robot mode, again, let's kind of do some comparisons here. So the robot mode is pretty much there. I mean, there's some new kibble issues that exist with this one because of how they tackled the tank, which we'll get into in a moment. But with the robot mode, what I do like about it is the cannon is now more accurate to the animation model in the game, as opposed to the one that came with the toy. Was kind of close to it, but it also had to, hold a gimmick. That old 2010 one still lived in that era of spring-loaded missiles and stuff like that. So it kind of also was hindered by that. And was smaller, so it had less paint. But the one good thing that old Deluxe had was it didn't have a major amount of the kibble on the legs of the tank treads. It was much more sleek and matching the animation model there. Where this Voyager one, unfortunately, the tank treads are kind of hanging off of there. I hope it doesn't affect it too much, but otherwise looks really good. They went with a darker tone for the overall figure, which I think is probably the right way to go about it. That was a very dark-looking game, had a lot of dark shading to it, and the Megatron toy, the Deluxe that we got from Generations in 2010, was a lot lighter. And they did do a dark repaint of that one later because of, reflecting more how the game looked. But I still think it looks great. I love that they include the mace. That's a nice touch. I dig it. When we get into the alt mode, this is when things get a little kind of crazy. The alt mode is not based off of the animation model. It's actually based off of an early sketch design of Megatron. Has kind of a different look. I mean, it's an amalgam of the two, if anything. But you really look at the front, I guess, cow catchers, if you want to call it, of the tank, and you see it's a lot more spiky and stuff, and that's found a lot more in the early design of the character. When you look at the actual animation model of the Megatron, it's kind of more in tune with what that old Deluxe was in 2010. It was a lot more flat and boring. So if anything, they probably went with with a more interesting look. It's not as animation accurate, but it's definitely a lot more interesting because they went with the alternative for the alt mode. And I still think it looks great. I love, when you really look at it, it's kind of amalgam of the animation model from certain areas and the early design sketch in other areas. I mean, the red across the top of the cannon. I like it. I think it looks really good. What more could I really say? I'm wondering if those treads fold under and you could do also the hover mode and stuff like they did in the game and with the original toy. So that should be interesting to see too. No mention of that. They also, I forgot to mention this too, also, is both the Studio Series also come with cardboard. Of course, the Rhinox is going to come with the Peruvian jungle discovery background. And the Megatron one comes with Secure the Station, which actually was the second objective from the first chapter of the Decepticon campaign. So a little throwback to the old game too in naming conventions. That's when Megatron was gunning for the Dark Energon. That one of the first things he had to do was secure the station before he had to secure the station schematics. Say that 10 times fast. But yeah, I dig it. I think it looks really good. I love the War for Cybertron games. They were easily the best Transformer games of all time. And now we got another one added to it. Now we got it joining Optimus, Bumblebee, Barricade, and the rumored Starscream and Cliffjumper that we're supposed to get later next year. So very cool, and building a nice little collection here with the Gamer Editions from Studio Series. Very nice stuff. I'm digging it. Let me know what you think. But, I mean, there's still more stuff coming. There's still more stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about it on the live stream tomorrow. There's a lot of cool stuff happening behind the scenes and everything. It's going to be an exciting summer for Transformers in more ways than one. Not just the movie, but a lot of other stuff too. Plastic, paint, and everything. Thanks again for listening to the Transformer Slag podcast, and we'll talk again real soon in the near future. I'll see you again tomorrow for the Saturday night live stream.